Hello there friends, CS News Live's reporting. In today's video, roster changes are coming to Team Spirit. CS is getting worse and worse. OniPixel built his own team. And as always at the end, the action at IEM Cologne. Surely we've got plenty of other exciting news from the world of CS2, so without further ado, let's get straight to it. And we shall kick off today's video with Twistzz. He recently shared how he had to drop out of school to chase his dream of becoming a pro player. You might say that a lot of pro players did it, but here's the interesting part. When he told his mom about this decision, she agreed with him, though she wasn't happy at first. But when she realized how important it was for a young Twistzz, she quickly came around. It's not uncommon for esports players to face similar challenges. Take Ropz, for example. He spent 2 years to finish his final year of high school. Then there's ZywOo, who managed to finish school but missed out a chance to join G2 because of it. Another G2 player, Nominees, skipped classes to follow his dream, which eventually led him to NaVi Jr. But sadly, more and more young talents are facing this dilemma, as esports academies often scout players at just 16 or 17 years old. For many of them, it's their one and only shot at turning their dreams into reality and making it into esports. Sticking with the pro CS scene, we've gotta talk about the updated HLTV rankings. The top 5 saw some minor shifts. NaVi and Spirit are still holding down the first 2 spots, followed closely by Vitality and G2, who both moved up 1 position. Rounding out the top 5 are Mouse, who dropped 2 spots. In the top 10, things are mostly unchanged, with the Mongols making the only move by climbing up 1 spot to close out the list. The biggest gains in the rankings came from Saw and Pain. The Portuguese squad jumped from 29th to 19th place, while the Brazilian team climbed from number 25 to number 18. On the other side, FlyQuest took the biggest hit, dropping 4 spots to land at 28th. Speaking of decline in teams like Spirit and G2, we might have a clue about what's causing it. It could be linked to the FPS drop that Elige mentioned on his Twitter. Complexity's player says that the more powerful PCs now only produce around 460 FPS, while 9 months ago in Sydney, weaker setups were pushing 650 or 700 FPS. And there are 2 possible explanations here. Either Valve is messing something up and the game is genuinely getting worse, or ESL has done something to the PCs and it isn't being upfront about the actual hardware. Either way, low FPS is a serious issue for esports players, especially in FPS games. And it's even more critical during huge tournaments like IEM Cologne. But let's take a break from the serious stuff and talk about beer for a moment. Yeah, you heard that right, beer. Do you know that IEM Cologne is the only CS tournament where you can actually buy and drink beer right in the arena? That's basically thanks to Germany's rich brewing traditions and not that limited restrictions. Another country famous for its beer culture is the Czech Republic. And you know what? Sinners took advantage of that by signing a deal with the local Czech brewery. Now, don't get us wrong, we're not encouraging anyone to drink. We're promoting healthy and active lifestyle, but this fact is just fun. Now let's shift back to the serious sides of esports, as some of the top team captains recently shared their secrets to success. According to Alexi B, the most important factor is communication. Without solid communication, players make mistakes, mistime their picks, fail to trade kills, and even end up losing the easiest rounds. NaVi's captain also mentioned that sometimes it's not him calling the shots, but Wonderful, their AWPer, who takes over the game. Interestingly, this doesn't disrupt the team, everyone still feels confident on the map. Apex also touched the importance of communication. The French captain recalled how the legendary NaVi roster often raged and yelled at each other during practice games. And yeah, I'm sure you all remember how toxic Simple could be. Toxicity and constant shouting can really mess up communication. It's one thing when it's joyful shouts and support like what Apex and Cadian do, even though they love trash talking too. But it's a whole different story when it's insults and anger directed at your own teammates, which often leads to tilt and poor results in the game. Kerrigan, on the other hand, emphasized the importance of intuition and adaptability. He highlighted Rain as an example, saying that he's the only player on FaZe Clan who doesn't rely on any playbook of tactics or nade throws. Yet, 90% of the time he does exactly what the captain asks. This is because Rain is an old school player, and if he gets too caught up in tactics mid-round, he might lose focus. And other things, he just knows how to do it. It's when his instincts kick in, and as practice shows, Rain handles it brilliantly. And miscommunication has also come into the spotlight following Spirit's recent loss. Tonya, the content creator for NaVi, suggested that these disappointing results might be due to the communication issues within the team. Or worse, that the players simply don't want to play together anymore. So does this mean Spirit is headed for a roster shuffle? It's hard to say for sure. On one hand, their recent performance has been disastrous, but on the other hand, there doesn't seem to be any bad blood among the players. Donk and Shiro seem to have chemistry, they are always together, they're friends. While Magix and Chopper have been a duo for a long time. That leaves Zontex, but despite his stats, he's often been praised for being an incredibly valuable team member, which makes him unlikely to be replaced, especially with the RMR and Major just around the corner. In my opinion, we'll only see real roster changes if Spirit fails to qualify for the Major. So let's not be panicking yet. And if you don't want to miss any updates or major roster changes, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. We also wanted to remind you about the annual Esports Awards. They will happen on August 24th. You can already vote for your favorite players, content creators, analysts, and more from the CES world. For example, you can vote for Glass among streamers and Donk as one of the rising stars. Maniac has been nominated as the best CS analyst. And the most creative content award could be going to Liquid's video featuring giant gaming devices. You still have almost a week to vote on the official Esports Awards website. So go there and show support for our guys. Before we dive into the matches, we've got some exciting news to share. The German legend, the streamer OniPixel, has signed his own roster to compete in the open qualifiers for the RMR. This lineup includes Voro2K as the IGL, Haji, Mezdal, Amsalem, and Kvem. They'll be competing in the Pacific qualifiers, and theoretically they could make it through, especially with Voro2K as the captain. He's got plenty of experience. My friends, what do you think? Can these players make a splash? If you're interested in following their matches, drop a comment and let us know. We'll do our best to keep an eye on them. And now let's get to the most exciting part, the matches of the third day of IEM Cologne. We had 4 elimination matches and 3 that determined playoff spots, so let's break it down. The first match was a showdown between Liquid and Furia, with the loser going home. Before the match, Twistzz gave a brief interview when he mentioned that the team had prepared some special tactics for Nuke, but it all started on Liquid's map pick, Dust 2. And it was a strong start for them, bouncing back after losing the pistol round to take 5 in a row, with NaV even securing a knife kill to close out the streak. Furia managed to fight back and win a couple of rounds, but Liquid kept their momentum going. And an almost clutch 1v3 by JKS only boosted the team's morale. The first half ended 8-4 in favor of Liquid. However, after the side switch, the game flipped completely, with Furia taking 7 consecutive rounds on T side. Liquid eventually pulled themselves together, even reaching map point, but Furia forced overtimes. What a game! In the overtimes, Liquid dominated, winning 4 rounds without much trouble though. And next was Nuke, Furia's pick. It started off well for the Brazilians as they took the pistol round and the follow-up. But then it was only all downhill. Liquid got 10, and after the side switch, Furia could only manage to win the pistol and the second round before losing the rest. So it's done for Furia, they're going home, and Liquid secured their spot in the tournament. At the same time, Falcons met Virtus.pro, another elimination match. It all started on Vertigo, the pick of Falcons. VP, playing on the stronger side, put on a solid performance, winning 9 rounds and setting themselves up to close out the game. But as you might recall from one of our previous videos, VP's defense has been a weak point and it was clearly under-practiced. I mean, how else can you explain such an incredible comeback from Falcons? They took 2 5-round streaks, giving up only 2 rounds, leaving VP with just 1 map away from elimination. Next up was Mirage, VP's pick. Falcons dominated the first half, but there's a reason VP used to be called the kings of comebacks. They secured 9 consecutive rounds on their CT side without dropping a single one. And this pushed the series to the decider, Dust 2. The final map started evenly, with both teams trading rounds, and Falcons ended the first half with a slight lead. However, after the side switch, VP struggled, barely managing to take 3 rounds, and ultimately they were sent home. This marks the second tournament in a row where the Bears have been eliminated without winning a single match. Statistically, this roster can now be officially called the worst since Virtus.pro moved to Armenia. They have 32 losses and only 29 wins. Next up was the match between Mouse and Complexity. The first map was Complexity's pick, Vertigo. They started strong, taking 5 rounds in a row without much trouble, to be honest, and looking poised to dominate. But something clearly went off script as Mouse managed to string together 7 rounds of their own, finishing the half of the weaker side with a lead. After the side switch, Mouse continued to dominate, pushing the score to 11-5. Complexity tried to mount a comeback, securing 3 rounds in a row, but it wasn't enough, and Mouse took their opponent's pick. Next was Nuke, Mouse's pick. This map was a true roller coaster with both teams trading rounds back and forth. Complexity had the upper hand early on, but Mouse rallied towards the end of the first half, bringing it to a tie. After this side switch, the back and forth continued, and since Mouse was in the CT side, they managed to secure 3 crucial rounds and eventually closed out the map in their favor. With this win, Mouse advances to the playoffs, while Complexity will have to face a Liquid to avoid elimination. Next, we had the most intense battle of the day, FaZe Clan versus Vitality. It was in the upper bracket, so the loser would still have a chance. The first map was Inferno, FaZe's pick, with Kerrigan and his team on the T side, and it was very tough for Vitality. Kerrigan showed exactly what his players were capable of, as Vitality barely managed to take 3 rounds. After the side switch, the French team tried to impose their game and nearly succeeded, but the gap was too large, and FaZe ultimately took their map pick. Next was Dust 2, and here the teams practically switched roles, with Vitality setting the pace. It all started with an incredible performance from Flames in the pistol round, but after the side switch, the momentum shifted again, and FaZe started to mount a comeback. Vitality managed to secure a few rounds, including a clutch from Apex with the CZ75, but the game eventually went to overtimes. And that's where it ended, as Vitality found their ground and just swept the overtime rounds without dropping a single one. Anubis was the decider, and FaZe Clan faced some problems. Surprisingly, on the T side, which is generally considered the stronger side on this map. Despite their struggles, they managed to keep the score even by the end of the first half, but after the halftime, FaZe could only make a couple more rounds before Vitality completely took over. In the end, Vitality moves on to FaZe Mouse, while FaZe drops down to face Falcons. Next up was another huge match, this time an elimination battle between Astralis and G2, and it all started on the Dane's pick, Dust 2. Honestly, we could wrap up the story of the first map right here, as Astralis managed to take only 1 round on their own map pick while playing on the stronger side. The second half kicked off with a quad kill from Nico, and that was it. Then came Mirage, G2's pick. Things started off strong for the Samurai, as they took 8 rounds while giving only 4 in the first half. However, that early success might have led to a bit of a lost focus, as Astralis just launched a comeback after the side switch. G2 seemed helpless on defense, unable to stop the Danes' momentum. Astralis ended up taking their opponent's pick, pushing the series to the decider, Ancient. And here we saw another dominant performance, this time from G2. They crushed their opponents on the T side, building a triple lead. After the side switch, the game was swiftly finished off by Malbs and m0NESY. Malbs won the pistol round single-handedly, and m0NESY followed up with an ace in mid, bringing his team to the match point. So Astralis were eliminated from the tournament, falling short of the semi-finals. G2 will continue their journey in the lower bracket. By the way, according to m0NESY, G2 deliberately threw Mirage to make the loss even more painful to their opponents. Who knows, maybe there's some truth to it. Though m0NESY's words do seem believable after Malbs dedicated this victory to his former teammate Swisher. In case you didn't know, back in 2022, Stavn cheated with Swisher's girlfriend right at the IEM Katowice. And it all happened right before Swisher made a proposal, so a long-planned revenge. And the final match of the day was a showdown between the Mongols and Pain. It all started on Anubis, Pain's pick. And right from the start it seemed like the map was a mistake, as the Mongols were just dominating everything. They led to a 9-3 scoreline in the first half. And you know what, many would have counted Pain out, as coming back from such a deficit is incredibly tough, but the Brazilians had other plans. They fought their way back into the game, pushing it to overtimes. However, it seemed that they had just run out of tactics in overtimes, as the Mongols easily won the defense, and then closed out the final round in their opponent's pick. Next was Mirage, the Mongols' pick. The first half was basically a back-and-forth battle. The teams stayed neck to neck, and this resulted in a tie, an even scoreline. But after the halftime, the Mongols managed to take the pistol round and the following one. But Pain responded with a 3-round streak of their own. The Mongols then grabbed a couple more rounds, but Pain answered with a 4-round streak, so they took the map and forced it to the decider. So it was Nuke, and the Mongols started strong on the T side, leading 6-2 at one point. But Pain came back, securing enough rounds on defense to level the score. And after the side switch, something went wrong for the Mongols. They struggled to win rounds in defense, while Pain simply outran them. In the end, the Mongols' weak defense cost them the match, and they were sent home. While Pain Gaming will face G2 in the next round. At the end of the third day, Furia, Virtus.pro, the Mongols, and Astralis were eliminated, while Vitality and Mouse secured their spots in the playoffs. And my dearest friends, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, sincerely. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment. And yeah, my friends, don't forget that we also have a Twitter account right now, so go on and follow. Thank you for watching again. It was CS News Live. I'm not saying goodbye for a long time. See you soon.